Alright gentlemen, with this one right here, we are going to be talking about the blocking weapons, and we're going to get into what classes actually see the biggest gains throughout the operations from taking them. So we're going to throw them in the tiers. If your class lands into like S or A tier, you're probably going to want to start learning the blocking weapons. If they land from B tier to under, you can probably get by without them. So let's start right here with our S tier class. It is going to be the Vanguard, and the main reason the Vanguard is hitting our S tier is because of his insane amount of survivability. And on top of that, he is mostly a melee character. He has his grapple hook. He is always going in there to deal damage, and he just uses his melee a lot throughout every operation. So he sees tremendous gains from the damage he gets, and then as well as he can counteract, the main weakness of the blocking weapons is the survivability, and he has a ton of it. So that is really why he is hitting the top of our list. If you are somebody that is a main of the Vanguard, it is going to be worth learning the blocking weapons overall throughout the operations. I do think it will end up increasing your damage output for your melee weapons. And then next up, we are going to have our A tier class here, and that is going to be the Assault. Now the Assault, he is close to an S tier class, but the reason he doesn't peak up there is because of his survivability. So you're going to lack survivability a lot with the blocking weapons, but you are going to gain huge amounts of damage. Your ground pound becomes, increasingly strong. Your attacks, your charge attacks become very, very strong against every type of enemy on the map. So that is why he has very high upside, but a very low downside with that survivability. But overall, if you're trying to be a top tier with the Assault, you are going to have to pair it to a blocking weapon because you're going to need that time to kill to really get through the operations. So that is why I say that he is A tier, and I think that most people that run the Assault should try learning the blocking weapons as well. Now, with the addition to the Power Fist being so much better in the fencing version, I do think it fell off a little bit for him having to learn blocking weapons. I don't find it as much of a necessity, but I do still think you're going to get great gains if you do switch to blocking. And then next up on our B tier list here, these are classes that you are going to have the option. If you want to take it, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. We got the Sniper and the Tactical. So one of the main reasons is they are mainly a range class. So you're saying like 80% of the operations, you're really going to be trying to use your primary, because your primary, no matter what and how good your blocking weapon is just going to out damage it. So when it comes to the Sniper, he has great survivability. So it really helps him, and he just doesn't need to parry as many things because you have your cloak and things like that. And he does have some very nice melee buff multipliers on his class, like up to 45% melee damage. So those are very strong as well to tie. But like I said, he just doesn't see the biggest gains throughout the operation. He will see some gains, but they won't be huge because you're just mostly using your ranged weapons. And it's kind of the same thing with the Assault. Or not with the Assault, but with the Tactical. So with the Tactical, you do have your parry scan. You will honestly hit anything harder than anybody else when it comes to the blocking weapon, but you're going to get a lot less scans throughout your operation, which is not that beneficial to you. And the odds are your primary weapon, after you do get your parry scan, is going to eliminate your target even faster than your melee weapon. So that's why I think with the Tactical, fencing is for me, I prefer fencing with the Tactical in a lot of situations, unless I'm just trying to switch things up, because you're going to get way more scans throughout the operation. And as I said before, your secondary is just so much stronger, and you don't have a lot of survivability either on the Tactical. So that is why I prefer going with fencing when it comes to him. And then our last one on the list here, which is kind of crazy to think of, is the Bullwork. I do feel like it is actually almost a detriment to this class if you take the blocking weapons. Every time I take them, you cannot outpace your fencing weapons with intimidating aura. Even with the blocking weapons supplying intimidating aura, you just don't hit as many, you don't hit blocks as much as you hit parries. So you're not going to get your grenades or your shock nades as much. You're not going to get intimidating aura much. And it just really, it just really doesn't benefit the class much at all. So that is why I'm saying that he is one of the ones that I think fencing definitely benefits him a lot more. And I think he's just better with fencing over blocking weapons for sure. I think this may change when the Thunderhammer comes to the class. Maybe then a blocking build may be more viable and he may move up on the list. But for right now, I like the Bullwork with the fencing weapon. I feel the strongest, and you're getting a ton of parries. And like I said, he's very easy to use the blocking weapons because you have a ton of survivability with the class. He just doesn't see much gains from them at all when you're talking about overall throughout the operation damage-wise. But that is going to be it for this one, guys. I do appreciate you checking out the video, and I will catch you on the next one.